Hi, and welcome to Amanda and Zoe's Pooch-Tastic podcast. Zoe is over here. She doesn't want to be on camera today. So I was going to be discussing pit bulls, the American Pit Bull Terrier, I should say, and the myths surrounding them and other bully breeds. But after an incident at the dog park yesterday, I thought I'd talk about another topic I had mentioned briefly in my first video and kind of elaborate more about it. So as you remember, in my first video, I talked about how kids really shouldn't be at dog parks. It's not a good idea. And after what happened yesterday, it just kind of solidifies my belief that young kids really don't belong at dog parks. It's not safe. What had happened was a mother with maybe two young boys, maybe 5, 8, somewhere in that age range, came in with a very hyper dog. And the kids were running around screaming. And as you know, Zoe doesn't like kids. She's afraid because she's probably been abused. And, one kid threw a ball at her and hit her in her face. So, I just laughed because I didn't want to start any, drama, but seriously, control your kid. Now, I personally believe that every single dog park should have an age limit. Kids 12 and under, or maybe even 16 and under, shouldn't be allowed in dog parks. It's really not safe. I was reading an article on a Facebook group that said that the CDC did a study, and basically a lot of the dog bites is with children ages like 5 to 9 because, unfortunately there's a lot of irresponsible parents who don't watch their kids and they don't understand dog body language and how to read it. And so, kid winds up getting bit, which is sad. Parents really need to be more responsible nowadays. And there are some. I've met some really awesome, parents who bring their kids to the dog park, older children, like 10, 11, 12, like 9-ish sometimes. And they know not to run, they know how to approach a dog, and a lot of times they have big dogs too. Like my neighbor on Saturday brought in her son, who had to be like maybe 9, 10, somewhere in that age, like preteen. And he was great with Zoe, and Zoe liked him. He knew not to run, screech, make a fuss. But I've seen a disturbing trend at the park I usually go to where people will bring in really young kids, don't watch them, and just let them run amok. And they have toys. Like there was this one on Saturday a little earlier. Thankfully, they went into the small dog section, but they're two young kids, couldn't be more than 5 or 6, with like a basketball type of ball. And that's an accident waiting to happen. It's really, really irresponsible of you to bring in your kid to a dog park. If you want to bring your kids to a park, there's plenty of kiddie parks where you can go. And if you want to bring your dog, there's plenty of parks, especially in Brooklyn, that have off-leash hours. Or what you could do is get a 30-foot long line or a 20-foot long line. They have variations. And go to a park and do recall work with the dog. Do a round robin type of thing. So you and your kids, kind of make a loose circle. The parent holds the dog's leash and do recall work. Fido, come. And the dog, that you guys take turns calling the dog back and then sending it off to play. Not only is that fun for the entire family, but it also teaches your dog basic obedience. And you could also include basic obedience too, because that's what I did when the dog park wasn't open. I took her to enclosed, secluded, grassy areas and we did recall work. So that's something they could do. And, they could also get a flirt pole. It's like $12 on Amazon. It's like a stick with a furry toy at the end, and you can kind of use it and have them jump and play, and it'll really burn off a lot of the dog's energy. You could also get a Kong. Kongs are great. It helps, you put it with like kibble and treats and seal it with peanut butter. The dog will be entertained for hours. Or you can even get one of those, it's a toy, but you put in treats and they have to kind of find and get it. I've seen a whole bunch of them online and they're not, expensive. So it's definitely worth your while. And it's like, look, I understand that having kids, young kids, and a dog, it's hard. But I don't think children have any place at a dog park. I really don't. It's not only is it endangering your child, but you're endangering the dog because fortunately, if God forbid a kid gets bit or knocked over or in any way, shape, or form hurt, they're not going to blame the irresponsible parents. They're going to blame the dog owners. And it's the dog that's going to suffer. I mean, I wouldn't put it past someone to have the dog euthanized because they have their own irresponsibility instead of being like, well, shouldn't bring in kids, or this is what happens when you let kids run around in the dog park. The dog is going to get hurt or killed. And that's not right. Children have no place at a dog park. And if I had it my way, the dog park that I go to, there'd be a 16 and under ban on all kids, and there'd be an attendant watching. But it's a city park, so, and, even if they did have a ban, I mean, there's no way to enforce it, unless you got like a kind of committee together. But, it's really, it's really irresponsible. Because you don't know you don't know if any of those dogs are good with kids. Not all dogs are good with kids. Unfortunately, parents have this idea that, oh, all the puppies love kids. No, they don't. You don't know that dog's history. It could be a rescue like Zoe and not like kids. Even my other dog, Esme, is really skittish around kids. She's not as reactive, but she'll still be really, really uncomfortable, and you can see it in her body language. Also, young kids at that age are very unsteady. If you have a bunch of dogs running around like a pack, they're going to get knocked over, and the kid could like break a hip or something. Not a great idea. Plus, prey drive. Kids are small. They run around, they scream, they yell. I mean, dogs see that and they think, oh, prey. And if they run, your kid's going to get knocked over or bit. Especially with a high prey drive dog like a Doberman or a German Shepherd, a Beagle, or sight hounds like greyhounds and things like and breeds like that. And also, young kids like that, they don't know how to read dog body language, They'll stare at a dog, and a dog will interpret that as a challenge and react accordingly. It's not the dog's fault. But parents really need to think about that before, let's bring our pack of kids into the dog park. Please, it's safer for your child to stay home or go to a park like McKinley Park in Brooklyn or Prospect Park where there is open space where you could walk your dog or go hiking or even do some long line work or obedience work, and the children can run around and burn off energy. It's just really, really irresponsible, and it'll wind up not only getting your kid hurt, but it's going to wind up hurting a dog. And I also think it's selfish. It's like dog parks, like the one I go to, are the only place where dogs can run around off leash and just be free and just have fun. Everywhere else they have to be on a leash, unless, of course, a park like McKinley or Prospect Park has off leash hours. But, a dog park is safer because it's enclosed, it has water for the dogs, they can run around, they can play. It's really irresponsible and it's very entitled and selfish for a parent to invade a space for dogs with their kids. Because, like I've said, not all dogs like kids, and dogs are going to be triggered by their screaming and running. So please, parents, don't take your kids to dog parks, and please, teach your children how to respect dogs. Don't have them throw a tennis ball in a strange dog's face, and teach them how to pet a dog. Never approach head on and don't stare at them. You always want to kind of approach from the side. And another thing that's also bugged me in terms of parents with kids, please don't treat pet adoptions like it's a petting zoo. I've seen some parents when I'm volunteering who will come up and they'll just start petting the dog, and I'm like, oh, are you interested in adopting whatever dog I'm handling? Oh no, we're just looking. Okay, the pet adoption I'm volunteering at is not a way for you to kill the clock with your kid. And it's not a petting zoo. I mean, that's great that you want to get your kid used to animals, but if you have a friend who has a dog or a relative who has a dog that likes kids, introduce them that way, not to take up my time trying to rescue a dog. Same thing with dog parks. Dog parks are not a way for you to socialize your kid with dogs. Not a good idea. No, that's why we have group get-togethers, That's why you can get together with friends who have kid-friendly dogs and have them get socialized that way. It's just not a good idea. I mean, I'm also under the belief that I don't think family should get a dog until the kid's maybe about 8, you know, 7, 8, when they can actually kind of help and feed the dog and, maybe take them for a walk or two. Other than that, especially if you're adopting a puppy, it's just way, way too much. Believe me, I raised a high energy puppy. I love Zoe, but she was a lot of work. She still is, and add in young kids, especially if somebody has more than one, probably not the best. But yeah, so anyway, in conclusion, if you're thinking about getting a dog for your kids, that's great. I fully support it. But please read up on dog body language and teach it to your children. Also, you should probably wait until the kid's like 7, 8-ish, in my opinion. Or if you do want to get a pet and you have young kids, I would recommend getting an older dog, maybe like 4 or 5, just so you can kind of skip the crazy puppy stage, because believe me, it's not fun. And finally, no kids at the dog park. Seriously. No, it's dangerous not only for your kid and not only for your dog. Nobody should have to put their dog down because you were irresponsible. So please, for the love of all things holy, take your kids to the kid park, take your dog to the dog park. If you have to, get a babysitter. And if you have to wait until your kids are older, there's plenty of things you can do. Like I've said, get a Kong, get the treat dispensing toys that allows dogs to use their brain, long line. Even if you don't have a fenced-in backyard, you can even go to a small, secluded place that allows on-leash dogs and do that. A flirt pole. You can get one of those holy roller toys. It's a circular ball, and it almost looks like a puzzle. And you can have the kids roll it back and forth inside the house or the apartment, and the dog can chase it and burn off energy that way. Obedience classes are great, and it also teaches the kids how to handle the dog properly. Or you can get a trainer to come to your house like I did. So there's options, there's definitely options that'll keep your kids happy and entertained, and that'll keep your dog happy and entertained and keep the parent sane. So that's just, my advice to parents and, anyone who's thinking about adopting a dog and who has young children. And next week, maybe I'll talk about pit bulls. We'll see what happens over the course of this week. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great night, and I'll see you next week. Bye!